Good morning, Colorado Springs. It's another brighter day in the neighborhood, and I'm your host, Angela Jones. Today we have two entrepreneurs with us, Kevin and Kyle Dexter, who are proprietors of our neighborhood favorite, Shuga's. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
It was fighting some traffic to get over here today, wasn't it?
Just a little bit.
Yes.
Oh, man. And, how long have you guys been in the Springs?
15 years
15
for me.
years.
Yeah.
10 for me.
Okay, so you know that Colorado Springs has gone from no traffic to the traffic we have now.
Just possibly maybe 60% of the reason why I moved here from Miami, which was really only traffic.
That's all it is.
That's all there is the traffic.
We were down, and I'm not going to be able to remember. It's a very quaint neighborhood, like a lot of really old, cool houses. It's about 15 minutes from the airport in Miami. And maybe I'll be able to think of it. But anyway, we were down there.
Neighborhood, old houses.
Coral Gables.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. But anyway, they were beautiful. And it was, anyways, we're driving through there and, that was fine. It was kind of like, normal. And then we get into the traffic getting back. Yeah. It was insanity. And the same thing when we lived in Nashville ever like 20, some years ago, but it was the same way. It reminded, like, Colorado Springs reminded me of like what Nashville was 20 years ago. When I first got there was no traffic, or at least you could figure out a way not to ever hit traffic, wide open spaces. And now it's like Nashville's an hour from Nashville.
Yeah.
Denver's an hour from Denver. And I'm just really hoping, I love that, our community's growing, but I don't love the traffic.
Me either.
So do you guys have much of a commute to Shuga's, or do you live in that vicinity?
7 minutes, I believe.
Oh yeah, I guess so. You're
on a good day.
Are you there in downtown, or?
We're in Cheyenne Canyon.
Oh, nice! I love that.
A little
area.
house there. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah. So tell me what brought you to establish Shuga's here in Colorado Springs?
Well, we didn't establish it.
Okay.
I think it's important to mention that.
All right.
I got a job there in 2008.
All right.
And fell in love with it. Worked my way up from like the very bottom of the totem pole to the very top of the totem pole. And then my friend Alexis, who did establish it, sold it to me. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. All right. And so how long ago, like when you say you started at the bottom of the totem pole, what was your first job there?
I was a day server, which if anybody had been a customer at Shuga's in 2008 knows that I think we made like $20 in a shift. It was very, very well kept secret.
Right.
So that would be the bottom of the totem pole. And then I started working nights and bartender, and then carving out all these management positions one by one, just pioneering. There was no need for a manager back then. So as the need became present, I started just pioneering all these management positions, from just like front of house manager, beverage manager, then general manager at the end. And then, the ladder runs out of rungs. So I built another one and just bought it.
There you go. So what was your history before that? Like, were you in restaurant management before that?
I had a short-lived management job at a restaurant in Miami.
Okay.
Also, very similar story, but very condensed in time frame. For about 6 months, I started as like a busser expediter, and then I became their manager, and then I moved here. I left that job to move here. Well, that restaurant is long gone.
In Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't survive in Miami with you have to be top tier. It's kind of that market. It reminds me of New Orleans. Like, if you can make it New Orleans, there's some of the best food. Colorado Springs is really getting to kind of be that way.
Sure
We've got some foodie choices.
A lot more options now than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Even 5 years ago.
So Kyle, besides Shuga's, where do you like to eat most, or what type of cuisine?
I should say that we're really big on the Asian and Indian food.
Okay.
There's a few places around town that just popped up with some really good Indian cuisine that we really care for.
All right.
I would say that most of the time, though, we're probably at Saigon.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I love that.
It's one of our, it's comfort food. It's
Saigon Cafe downtown.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it. We've got this. We actually made plans to go have Indian later today. The little place that's in the Chapel Hills Mall that used to be the Denny's. Do you know which
I
one
do
I'm talking
remember
about?
that. Yeah.
What?
I used to work in this mall a long time ago.
Yeah. No. So
In the
okay.
mall, there's an Indian restaurant?
No. It used to be Denny's, so it's like right at Academy.
Urban
Like right at-
Tandoor?
Yes.
That place is hands down the best. Are you guys listening? Urban Tandoor,
They
you are amazing.
So, they are so good. And
We love them.
And you know what I love about you? I know you're going to guess this because you've been in there. So their lounge
with the big screen.
giant
Yeah.
Bollywood MTV screen. What could be better than that?
Have you been there or have we just done takeout?
Actually, I haven't
Yeah.
stopped in yet, but we're willing to make the drive to go pick up food all the way from downtown
I've
just
been
to
there
go
a couple
eat there.
times.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Their food is fantastic.
It's really good.
And they don't really have any like weird fusion-y things, but they do a couple things that are a little bit different take, you know?
They really do. There's this appetizer they have that I love. These little puri like pockets with this cilantro yogurt or
Yep.
mint yogurt or
Yes.
something. And it's just very
Yes.
liquidy and you just kind of like,
Uh-huh.
that is so good.
For me, it's the bread. They've got the best bread.
The best naan
Yeah.
ever.
They do.
Yeah, and they've got, even the cheese naan. I'll go out on that limb. I'm out of the dairy game by and large. But cheese naan,
I agree.
It's taking one for the team.
They are
Absolutely.
ruling the Indian in this town right now.
Are they really?
are, like,
So I'm glad
they
we're
yeah.
vibing
Yeah.
heart to
Yeah.
heart on that. So that's really awesome. And so what about you, Kyle? What's your background that got you into restaurants, or do you have a background in restaurants?
Well, actually, I mean, I'm relatively new to the industry. I was working in retail before that, and before I moved here, I was a performer.
Oh,
And I found Shuga's about 10 years ago as a customer, and it was the only place as an introvert that I could go and be in the crowd but not be a part of it. I could go and have a drink and read a book and just exist, and then we met, and a few years later I started to become involved, and then
nice.
I guess the rest is history.
The rest is-
Started working in the prep kitchen and then bought it alongside Kevin.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so what type of performer?
Oh God, that was so long ago.
It's okay.
I was studying in musical theater, and
Oh, wow.
I'm from Cincinnati, and there were a lot of independent theaters, so I just got jobs, and that was a while ago.
So, I mean, is it music or are you a singer?
A little bit of music, singing, dancing, anything they wanted us to do. And then anything backstage, those little companies, you kind of do what you have to do in order to survive.
So just a lot of the creative.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what was do you have a favorite role you ever landed?
It doesn't seem very big, but for me, it was a big deal.
Okay.
I landed Bernardo in West Side
I'm
Story.
going to say that.
I mean,
We were performing in the same complex that all the Broadway shows came in, and it
wow.
was a big deal. We walked in the stage door and all that stuff, and that's one of my best memories.
right. And so how big of an audience did you have then? Like hundreds.
A few hundred.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool. I love community theater. I always like to go. We're a military family, and every time we would go, from like especially base to base, they would always have like a community theater on the base, and where people who were, have that kind of background get into it. And I always just love to patronize those events because it was fun.
Are fun.
And I love plays, especially. I think
It's
that's
always good to support your local community theater.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just very rare to find a whole lot of theater in a town. And, if you can support it, it supports all those artists that are just trying to do what they love.
Did you go much theater here?
Yes, actually. We, the most recent was Cats, right?
Oh, yeah, we went and saw Cats at the Pikes Peak Theater.
I love the Pikes Peak Theater. I love that it's a great music venue.
Yeah, Cats Fine Art
That
Center,
was
all
funny.
that stuff.
Yeah, and then they've got, I think, over in Ivy Wild, there's like a little theater.
Yeah, the Mat.
I've seen that, the Mat.
There's
That's
the Fine Arts Center, Theater Works.
It's
There's
a lot.
there's like, 5 or maybe 6? I don't know. That I know of. I'm sure there's more.
It's ever evolving in this
Yeah.
town. Yeah.
So that's always. So have you gotten to do much here?
No.
Because you're busy.
Yeah, life just took me in a different direction, and then eventually we ended up buying a restaurant, and that
right. And
takes up the
and so
time.
when did that happen? When did you guys
That
purchase Shuga's?
conversation started in 2018. Although Alexis and Kurt, they're the former owners, husband and wife. Good, very dear friends of mine. We always flirted with the idea, and I was like, "Oh, shut up! They're kidding. They're not going to sell this place."
Right.
and then it got real, and about 2019 is when it got real. And then we started negotiating, and we were set to close on March 17th.
Okay.
No, March 23rd, and the restaurant's closed on March 17th. So that just delayed it, and then
Right.
we it was all said and done in summer of 2020.
Okay. And so you guys ended up walking through all that, the pandemic
Yeah, we
closures
carried
and
it
everything
through.
with them. Okay.
Yeah, we definitely. I had been running Shuga's for some years before, so Alexis and Kurt were, like, I would say semi-retired. They had me running it. We had other management, so they were hands-on and hands-off, hands-on, touch and go. And I was running it for years, like kind of almost without them. So that was just like, just carried it right through.
Right. Right.
Pandemic, whatever.
Pandemic, whatever. I mean,
Gotta keep
and
going.
we were talking about this before we went on air just a little bit about like just how tough that's been, and how much, anyways, I wanted, to say again how much I appreciate, people who are in, the restaurant business, because it's an essential service. It absolutely is. And, and not to diminish anybody else's contribution as a frontline worker, but people who serve us and kept us eating and got us takeout drinks, during all of that.
That was a huge
huge.
move.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that kind of has changed for the better. It's like, getting more people out, taking out from restaurants, having developed those options, to be able to, support local restaurants more, and for you guys to be able to get more business in your doors and that, because you got how many seats total?
Well, it depends on
Whether you're outdoors
what we're talking
or not.
about. Yeah.
Right. Well, like inside.
Inside. Oh gosh, it keeps changing.
Maybe like 30-ish.
I think it's 35 or something.
Okay.
like
Okay.
that.
At the bar
Yeah.
and everything.
Including the bar. Yeah.
I'd
And
say
then
probably during the pandemic we had 3 tables in there.
3 tables
Right.
inside, but we had that crazy garden, and we just put those tables outside. So we never really
Right.
had to lose tables. We just spread them all out. We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
With the space we have to work with, that a lot of our colleagues and friends don't have, like your downtown favorite restaurants don't
Right.
have the wide open space that we have behind us.
Right.
So that's how it worked for us.
That was a big key, getting creative, using what you had, doing what you could just to get through it,
Right. Right.
rolling with each punch, I think, without letting it overwhelm you, because things changed constantly,
Right. But like moving into ownership in that environment, that's pretty gutsy.
It was gutsy.
I mean, it's gutsy.
I mean, I fully believe in that restaurant, in that space, and the concept. At the time, it didn't feel gutsy. Looking back, I'm like, wow, that was gutsy. But
right.
But at the time, it felt like, just give it to me already. Like
Okay.
like just get. Yeah, I was gung ho, I would say.
I would say so. Yeah, we were just ready for
Yeah.
it to happen, and just to actually run the restaurant
Right.
through this pandemic instead of trying to, go through this whole purchase. It's weird to think about it, because I have no idea how we actually got through it all.
It's like a dream.
You just
It's
kind
like-
of live
it's
it,
like-
and then you just maintain that not hope, but that belief that you're just gonna survive.
Yeah,
and-
like climbing a 14er.
like we're gonna
Very
do this.
good
It's gonna
analogy.
be fun.
Very
you
good
know?
analogy.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, but you're also doing it because it's a challenge, and it was. I hate to say this, like bring any kind of positivity to a pandemic, but it was kind of fun. To reinvent over and over again. To
There's a lot of creative muscle
Right.
that had to be used.
Well,
yeah.
and I want to get back to that, like that idea of positivity in a pandemic in just a second. I want to remind you, our listeners, you're listening to KPPF, and I'm with Kyle and Kevin Dexter, owners of Shuga's here in Colorado Springs. So I think that's one of those, the positivity in a pandemic. And I know we all kind of, because of the tragedy, because of so many people losing their lives, losing their loved ones, losing businesses, things like that, we all want to, to be sensitive to that. But I think that positivity or that gratitude for what good also has come from this challenge or meeting this challenge, like building community together. Like people really had, in some ways, while we had to like socially distance and socially isolate, I think people became much more concerned about their neighbors and much more concerned about people in the community. And then that creativity, we had to employ creativity in a way that we didn't have to prior, because it was a new challenge, So what are your thoughts on that? Because I want to encourage you to talk about that positivity with that caveat that it's not meant to be insensitive to
Correct.
to anybody.
And my thought, we were presented with a choice. We could either be angry and what had happened is we got a very new and large set of regulations that kind of changed from time to time in the food industry. The health department has a lot to say about how you conduct yourselves. And we noticed some folks, certainly on the news were angry about this, or like they're just going to close until it goes away and then we'll come back. So in my opinion and my experience with it, we had a choice. We could get angry, we could fight it, we could get drunk and mad and
Right.
Go on social media and complain, or we could lean in and
Right.
say, okay, this what this is now a new canvas that we have to we have to work with, and we're gonna work with it, and it's totally different. And we're very collaborative people, especially with our staff. So we got a lot of core people together on these big Zoom meetings throughout
Right.
the
Right.
pandemic, and we're like just throwing spaghetti at walls and see what sticks, and just batting around ideas, and that birthed like the big garden and then the teepee, which was
Right.
just my favorite thing
Ever.
there was a lot of birth in that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was really cool to watch, actually. I mean, if you pay attention to the downtown crowd, all the restaurants are a part of this big community.
Sure.
When we had to shut down, all of a sudden that community is within your own walls. And we had this really great opportunity to create that community ourselves, and there was a lot of strength that we actually saw in a lot of people, especially the people that worked, for the restaurant. Some people said it was the hardest thing they've ever done, is to have to continue to work through a pandemic. But everybody just kind of pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, and it was amazing to watch everybody not just live through this, but
I'd hate it.
And survive this
Right.
mentally. It was a lot, and I don't know. We managed to all create this. A community of people that are just kind of making it through this.
Well, it sounds like your culture really improved. Like you became closer. Sounds like, your people came together, not only to support you guys, to support each other, but also to support the people that were relying on you to be there. I think a lot of times that's it. I think we don't always realize, what we have inside of us in terms of strength, in terms of
I totally
the ability
agree.
to give or care, because we don't get called on
Right.
to do it. Back to the thing with the 14er, I think that's why, those types of challenges are so good for people, because, we don't really realize what we can do until we set out to try and do it, or have no choice but to do it.
Right.
And we all do have choices. I mean, and that's really the thing, because like what you were talking about, I mean, you could have just said, and not to disparage or criticize anybody who
Sure.
made a different choice
Everyone's
whatsoever.
got their own journey. And
But you had the option to do 100 different things other than what you did, but, I think, for us at my firm too, like, I know that, a lot of people were worried and laying people off and this, that, and the other. And, for instance, since the beginning of this year, we've grown from 5 to, I think 19 employees at my law firm. And because I'm like, hey, we're doing this thing and it's cool. And now we can do it even better. We have, because of Zoom, we can employ very qualified professionals that are in other states. They don't need to come in to do, paralegal work and things of this nature. We even have a lawyer in Michigan who used to be in Colorado and needed to relocate. And because of the pandemic, we're like, oh, no problem. You can do that. And it's great that we have that option, and just sticking it in there with folks. So I did notice, I was downtown last night and went to Jack's, and what are those brown
the parklets.
That were built? They're gone now.
I guess they are.
Yeah. So is that a sign that things are more or less back to normal, do you think?
Gosh, the concept of back to normal is
right.
It's so weird because it just feels like being transported back to before this. I don't know that. I think it's normal will always be a new thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the restaurant world, especially here in Colorado Springs, is very much as close as back to normal as I've seen.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're operating, there's no special mandates. I mean,
Correct,
I'm
yeah.
sure you have heightened cleaning standards and all of that type of thing like we all do now. I don't think I've ever washed my hands.
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
in my
Those kind of things
entire
stick anyway.
life. I get a little
yeah.
bit of a cough and I'm like, mask.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
But for the most part, everything here is pretty normal.
I'd say.
We were recently in Denver, and I think they have a mask mandate. Everywhere we went, we were asked to don a mask, and I'd forgotten that was even a possibility and didn't bring one with me. So.
I have a tendency to just put them on from going inside. If I'm going inside into the public space, I just put it on. Because for me, it's more about like just helping other people around me feel comfortable, and, I don't step into a lot of the political controversy around things. I make my personal choices and business choices for reasons, and, just like other people.
A lot of our employees will still wear them. When I work, I love to run the door and be the host and see people. And when I do that, I'll wear a mask. Just come in contact with a lot of folks.
Well, we have a few more minutes. So what other kind of things are you guys getting into this holiday season? Anything fun? Got skiing or...
Resting.
Novel concept. Novel concept for the holidays.
It has been a blur of a year. So,
it has been. It has been a blur of a year. So any favorite holiday traditions?
Well, I mean, the tree's already up. We managed to get that up this year.
Woohoo! We left ours up from last year. It became a holiday tree. So we did it for Christmas and New Year's and Valentine's Day and Easter and... I think it was Memorial Day.
Great.
And graduation tree. We had a graduation tree because my daughter graduated from Pine Creek, and it has just gone on. And at the present time, like we're waiting for her to come home from college this afternoon because we're going to take the Thanksgiving tree and take ornaments from throughout the year and decorate it with those ornaments. So like the year-round tree is what we're gonna do because we're going out of town. We're going out of town for the actual Christmas holiday. So
well, we have our big anniversary party.
Okay.
Shuga is turning 20 in like 4 days.
What?
20 on the 20th.
On the 20th.
Very nice.
And we are having a party that night. We actually are going to take a few hours out of business and stop serving. And we've invited all the friends and family of friends and family of friends of family friends, all the people that might want to come to this party.
That would be great.
To come to the party at 7:00.
Well, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So how do people get more information about that party? Is there a website?
We're not advertising. I think this is the first time I've said it.
It's out there now.
It's out there now.
Lots of people. may be
You
coming.
could call the restaurant and or just show up.
Just show up. Well, that's so fantastic.
It's a nice break.
Yeah.
Something everybody needs.
Yeah. No. And any special drinks or something like that?
There
you
will
got
be
going on?
the classics available. We're gonna set out a bunch of food and drink. And,
Yeah, and you guys do some special drinks from time to time.
We do.
I know. That's one of my favorite parts of Shuga's is the little specialty drinks that you guys do. They're always so light and fresh. And nothing,
Thank you.
that's
I
what
appreciate
feel.
that
It's
because
just-
that
nice
cocktail
to hear
menu
that
is my
from you.
baby.
Well, that cocktail. I mean, it's always that's what I'm saying. You go to some place and and they're like last time, and I'm not going to mention where I went, but it was sort of this ginger something. But I'm like, this tastes
feels
like
heavy?
baby food.
Yeah,
I'm like, what is this? It's too sweet, too thick. It tastes like it's got mango, and I don't even know what's happening.
Did
Right?
you say mayo?
Mango.
Oh, mango.
It might have been better with mayo.
Maybe
in it.
something
I
with
don't
mayonnaise.
know.
That,
I was just, and I was like, have a little sip, and I was like,
Yeah.
ew, That's okay. I drank water, lots of water, which is good. It's better.
Yeah, cocktails. They're very important to me. That menu, I love that menu.
I do too. Well, it's been really a joy and pleasure having you guys in, and I can't wait to get over. I haven't been to Shuga's, I don't think, since it was last year. It was sometime last year. So I can't wait to get over and check out the TP, and I will do what I can to make that party.
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome back anytime.
Okay.
Thanks.
This has been another brighter day in the neighborhood. Thank you so much for joining us this Sunday, and you can find us here at the same time and same channel each Sunday morning. Until we see you and talk to you again, have a brighter day.